Welcome to this episode of Pocket Parlay Podcast. This is December 5th, and the Miami Dolphins are the number one seed in the AFC. I'm your host, Will Maynard, here with my two favorite co-hosts, Mr. Zachary Michick, Mr. Ryan Head. Well, did I miss something? Ryan, why are you muted?
Zach keeps muting me. We have a rude guest today.
Oh, okay. Well, now the shenanigans are out of the way, we can do some professional podcasting here. Let's start off with the biggest, most important game of the week, as Zach buttons three nerd. The Eagles versus 49ers. 49ers whooped up on the Eagles. Zach, I want to hear your opinion on this first, since you look like you're about to do a sideline report.
I think, well, talking down here now, I think this speaks more about how last year the 49ers really were the best team in the NFL, and they talked a lot of shit this whole year about how they didn't even have a quarterback, and they proved it. They talked shit before the game, during the game, after the game, and the Eagles got punked. And this is, I don't know what to think about the Eagles after this. I think this shows more like the top three teams in the NFC. I would say is like Cowboys, Eagles, 49ers, and 49ers whomped both of those teams. One away and one at home. Just a whomping. So the road through it, 49ers. That's the way I see it.
Well, let's play we're gonna play your game multiple times today, but this will be the first round of it. Is this a bigger win for the 49ers or a bigger loss for the Eagles? Bigger dub for the 49ers?
Bigger dub.
Ryan, do you agree?
Yeah, I tend to agree with everything Zach said. Quick disclaimer, I didn't get to watch a ton of football this weekend. I was doing wedding stuff all day Sunday. But yeah, I would definitely say it's a bigger win for the 49ers. I mean, the 49ers have like just completely dismantled some really good football teams, and that's what you want to see out of like a Super Bowl contender, right? And there aren't a whole lot of other teams that have completely just like gone in and dominated good teams. I think most people expected the Eagles to keep this pretty close. I don't know if it speaks a whole lot to like the Eagles moving forward. I still think they're one of the top teams. But I do think this shows how dominant the 49ers are. And quick note, Brock Purdy moved to number one in MVP like odds this past week. So that'll be interesting to see moving forward, the race between like himself, Dak, Jalen Hurts, and then maybe Pat Mahomes. So I think it's going to be a pretty tight race for that MVP.
3 NFC quarterbacks, all for the top spots.
Tyreek might be able to get it.
If he gets that 2K mark, he'll hit it. Speak on the game, though. I'm going to go the opposite direction. I think this is a bigger loss for the Eagles. Not only because they kind of like Stephen A. Smith said, it almost delegitimized them as NFC champions from last year, knowing that Brock Purdy got hurt. But also, the Eagles are in serious jeopardy of losing that number one seed in the NFC. They got the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, and then just to go through the rest of their schedule, there's not too many weeks left. But you got the Cowboys, you got the Seahawks. After that, you got Giants, Cardinals, Giants. But like the next 2 weeks are kind of going to decide if the Eagles get the number one seed or not.
Especially this next week, just against the Cowboys. This is going to be a huge game just for the division.
Yeah,
playoff implications.
Division and number one seed, all at stake. They could seriously drop from the 1 to the 5 in a single Sunday. This was still a big win for the 49ers, but the Eagles I hate their fans' reactions. I don't know if y'all saw them. They were like throwing snowballs at all the 49er
Philly
fans.
people.
I hate it, but I'm also jealous at the same time. Like being in that environment, just being shooting from this first snap, the first kickoff, just being on your feet the whole time. The security
asshole.
Just
Yeah,
securities are good.
just
That's
everybody
awesome.
has a felony in the crowd. No, you heard it here first from Pocket Parlay. We all dislike Philadelphia and all of their fans, and Houston.
I know
You're from
Houston.
Texas. You have to throw that in there.
I'm not from Texas.
You're a
I
Texas
live in.
Ranger fan. Now you have to hate
Yeah.
Houston.
Okay. Yeah. Screw the Astros. Back to football. Going from the NFC to the AFC. An ugly game, but big for the AFC wildcard race. The Texans beat out the Broncos 22-17. Russ with 3 interceptions kind of came back down to earth, and Texans have kind of propelled themselves almost, no, not secured obviously, but like with the momentum they have, looking like they're going to be a playoff team in year one of the Stroud DeMarco area.
Yeah, I
What's
mean
y'all's?
they have a shot at winning the division. I mean, if they had beat Jacksonville, I think it was last week, maybe it was the week before. I think it was last week. Obviously, they lost to Jacksonville, but now that Trevor Lawrence is hurt, who knows how many games they're going to be able to win with CJ Beathard. Yeah, I mean, they have a really good shot at winning the division. And if not, I haven't seen what the like wild card race looks like, but they're 7-5, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they have a pretty
they have a
firm.
really good shot at
Yeah.
least getting the wild card.
And considering that the Browns and the Steelers both are all dealing with their injuries, Kenny Pickett already ruled out for next week. They're also at 7-5. Texans have like a really, really good opportunity to take advantage. And let's see, next week they play the Jets, and they're a road team, and they're already favored by 5.5 points.
I am
So
interested to see Tank Dell got hurt this past week, and that's kind of been his number one go-to receiver. Now he's got like Nico Collins and Noah Brown. He's really going to have to step up. Like it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to win games with the offensive pieces that CJ Stroud has around him. Like honestly, he doesn't have a whole lot to work with, and they're still winning. That was a decent, pretty good Denver defense that they just played. Yeah, I'm really excited to see like if they're able to make a little run here.
well, Nico Collins, he's been pretty good this year. Last game in the win, he put up 9 catches for 190 yards and a
Oh, he's
touchdown.
not bad, but he doesn't have like a
Yeah.
go-to number one receiver, or even like a good, like maybe Nico Collins or Tank Dell could be considered good number two receivers, but they haven't proven it yet. Like he doesn't have a whole lot of weapons.
So once again, I'll ask Zach. I'll come to you on this one. Bigger win, bigger loss. Denver and Houston.
I think it's bigger win to Houston because everyone keeps on trying to tear them down, not thinking that they're for real, and they keep on tearing off wins in different ways. Like CJ Stroud, even though I think he threw a pick or he got fumbled or something like that. Denver Broncos aren't no like scrub of a defense. I think you were talking about that earlier, and they're just still putting together wins. I think a big deal. And also, whenever that one linebacker came in and smoked CJ, and CJ stood up for himself and went ballistic. I think that speaks volume about how big of a leader he is and how big of a deal he is to that locker room. Like they love him.
Singleton was that linebacker. I thought that response he had after the game was funny. He was quoting Drewski, and we stand on business in H-Town.
Isn't that what DK did after he scored that like 97-yard touchdown against Bland?
Yeah, I think it's either stand on business or I'm him. It was one of those two.
I don't speak. I don't.
Ryan, what's your bigger win, bigger loss for this game?
I think it's a bigger win. For me, the Broncos have like already exceeded the expectations that I had for them. So anytime they lose, I'm not going to be surprised. But they also do have a good defense, and yeah, I think it was a good win for the Texans, putting themselves in a position where they can win the division at this point, especially with T-Law going down.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with y'all on this. Mostly just because I think it'd been a good win for either team, but Denver is 6-6, and so they're still, this loss sucks, but they're still right there in the playoff race with the rest of the teams. They have the Broncos' rest of their schedule is not that hard. You got the Chargers this week, then you got Lions. Lions probably a loss, but then Patriots, Chargers again, Broncos. They could easily sweep the Chargers, beat the Patriots, and then knockout. That Raiders game could be potentially for a playoff spot, but there's not too much to stress about in Denver's side. And Houston, this was huge, especially like you said, for T-Law going down.
Yeah.
All right. Going into our last bigger win, bigger loss. Sunday night football with the massive upset. Jordan Love and the Packers versus the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Who wants to take this one?
You got it
I can go really quick. I don't think any Chiefs loss is super big because we've seen, in my opinion, we've seen what they can do up to this point. They still have, Pat Mahomes, Kelsey. They're gonna be fine. They're gonna be a playoff team. They're gonna be good. I think it was a bigger win. Nobody expected that going in. Jordan Love's looked really solid over the past 3 weeks now. The offense is starting to get a little bit healthier in the wide receiver room. Earlier in the year, it was Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson were super hurt, but now Christian Watson's playing better again. I think he had 2 touchdowns Sunday night. For me, I wouldn't overreact to any Kansas City loss. But at the same time, like Jordan Love is playing some really good football. It's not a bad defense. I think it was a really good win for the Packers, and he's putting that team also in a spot to make the playoffs.
How big was Watson's injury? Do we know? It looked like a hamstring, which those linger.
He's always got a hamstring injury. He'll be out for the rest of the year, probably. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, he's been having up and down year anyways. It's not like he's just been this unguardable number one wide receiver.
I mean, it's just nice to have more weapons though on the field, but I don't know. I think it doesn't speak that big volume about Kansas City's like bigger loss. I think it's bigger win for Packers because they start looking for real. People like they have a lot of things that people want. Jerry Alexander was out too. Not like Kansas City has a star wide receiver for him to guard, but it's still nice to have him on the field. But I don't know. Packers, I think they have a crazy home field advantage more than like anybody in the NFL, like top 5 probably of teams.
I'd say Kansas City's up there for best home field advantages as well.
I would say the big thing about this loss, and it's going to go into next week though, is if they can beat the Bills because
I agree.
Kansas City can't win. They're like be number 1. You don't have to go through Arrowhead anymore, and that's huge.
Well, and if they lose to the Bills, they will have lost to Denver, Philly, Green Bay, and the Bills within 6 weeks. So they're kind of if they lose to the Bills, they're starting to skid. If they can pull out the win against the Bills, I don't think there's an issue. But at that point, they're 8-5, and they've lost 4 of their last 6. So. Yeah. This is a super important week for Kansas City. I don't want to overreact because we've seen this team, and it looks very similar to the team they've had the past couple of years. They didn't have Tyreek last year, and they were still successful. So I'm still gonna bet on Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce and not a horrible defense. But at the same time, this is a must win for them.
And with what's his name getting hurt last night, and Joe Burrow being hurt. Who are the top quarterbacks they have to go through? Justin Herbert's not going to be in there. I mean, it's Lamar Jackson, and we don't really believe in him.
Tua, Lamar.
But I'm taking Pat Mahomes by it. Tua and Lamar Jackson, I feel like are 4th and 5th in the AFC, right?
That's why I think at the end of the day, the Kansas City's still going to make the playoffs, and there are a lot of hurt quarterbacks. Kansas City's going to be fine. We'll see.
What about you, man? Say it.
Yeah, I'd say I'm gonna go once again opposite here. I think this is a bigger loss for Kansas City. Little fun fact, little trivia question. Outside of the Super Bowl, how many road playoff games has Patrick Mahomes played?
I would say not a lot. Maybe
probably not many.
1.
Just because they've been a high seed, they don't have to.
Yeah,
0.
Yeah, they don't have to.
You're telling, yeah, but I'm saying. There's a good chance Miami and Baltimore. Baltimore's got to bye. They're getting rested, getting healthy, ready for the last playoff push. Neither one of them have the best record or the best rest of schedule. But when you have a game up lead on the Kansas City, you can realistically get with the top seed because both Ravens and Dolphins have a better record. And Patrick Mahomes, having the fact that he's never played in a road playoff game in the AFC, like we talk about how big that advantage is at Arrowhead with everyone shopping. Imagine what it is if he has to go to Baltimore with a really good Ravens team and those crazy ass Ravens fans
Yeah.
are. I would say same thing about Miami, but Miami's fans are not exactly the wildest.
I heard something about Miami Stadium though. Like they put with the sun being
Yeah,
down, they put them on like the east or west side. I forget of the stadium, and the temperature is usually like 20 or 30 degrees hotter than in the shade over there. And they make them wear their uniforms, which is pretty cool
but
during wintertime when it's 90 degrees down in Miami.
But in my opinion, if you're Kansas City, considering you don't have like a good wide receiver, people I think feel like undervalue Juju. They haven't had a good wide receiver all year. Could potentially be going on the road in the playoffs against some really good defense. The Miami's defense has looked really good since Jalen Ramsey joined, and Ravens defense is always really good. I think it's the number one in the league right now. Going up against one of them on the road, I could see them being underdogs. So I think,
They
like you
could.
said,
Bills also haven't played well.
Bills? No, I'm saying if they're in the playoffs going to
Oh,
the
okay.
Ravens,
Oh,
like
okay. Got you.
I feel like odds makers love to make Kansas City like 2-point favorites no matter who they play. But if,
I think
like
they're
you
two and a
said,
half next week against the Bills.
they're what?
2.5 point favorites against the Bills.
See, they've been skidding and they're still 2.5. I mean, Bills haven't looked good either, but
No.
I do want to throw this in there. I think Rashee Rice is starting to step up for them. Obviously, they didn't play well this past week, but he had a good game and he's had a good past couple of games. Takes a couple of games for rookie wide receivers typically to start to get going, and it looks like maybe him and Pat Mahomes have a connection. I feel like that's what they've been missing this whole year. It's been him and Kelsey. Kelsey's been a little bit hurt and he has nobody else to rely on. I think if they get that other dude to step up, that hopefully it's Rashee Rice. I don't know. I think I think the Chiefs turn it around. We're gonna see like a dominant Chiefs like we've seen in years past. We'll see. We'll see.
um, I will say I'm so happy that they did lose because now we can stop with this stupid ass. Oh my God, if Taylor Swift's there, they're gonna win. Guess what? She was there and they lost to Jordan Love.
I was banking on that
Sucks.
for Travis Kelce to get like 3 tutties and put me in with Carson.
All right. There aren't really any other games to go over? I mean, Lions Saints was a good one, but I think we all kind of expected the Lions to win that shootout. Cowboys Seahawks was a little bit closer to comfort than y'all would have liked, but y'all pulled it out. Colts Titans was good.
Ahead
Huh?
game. I'm saying maybe a look ahead game for us.
Yeah, let's look to next week.
Yeah. Chargers Patriots was a shootout to remember. Rams Browns was a good one. We're not going to talk about it. We said we weren't going to talk about the Chargers. I'm not.
Y'all covered.
Yeah.
Good teams win, great teams cover.
Shut the hell up. All right. So let's talk about some of the biggest storylines going into next week. We're also going to talk a little bit about the college football playoffs at the end. Maybe a little in-season tournament sprinkled in there. So we're going to talk about the NBA. So let's talk about the first thing I want to talk about, because obviously the Cowboys Eagles is the biggest game. Zach, your boy, Mr. Zach Wilson, reluctant to step into the starting job again for the Jets.
False report. We're not even going to talk
Was
about
it false?
that. False.
Aaron Rodgers went on Pat McAfee.
Robert Saleh said it.
Yes.
Robert Saleh said it was that wasn't true either. I'll be honest.
Not true.
When I saw it,
sources like who gets these sources?
No, that's so not true.
I'm a
So
source.
not true.
Listen, I'm just gonna say, if it was true, I would not have blamed him, to be honest.
Agreed.
They benched him and then pulled him back in so many times. Zach Wilson's not a good talent, but they're kind of mishandling him too.
Terribly. My dude needs a better situation.
I don't think he said that though. I think the report was made up.
Where's he gonna demand it? Who wants him?
Yeah. Who the hell is going to trade a draft pick for Zach Wilson? I wouldn't trade a 7th rounder for the kid.
What do you think?
I wouldn't trade a punt returner for the kid.
What do you think?
Practice squad player for him.
I would sign him if he's a free agent. He can go run around and be Lamar Jackson when we
Pretend
play them on the
Lamar.
practice squad, but no.
All right. So got the fake report out of the way. Hand up. That was my bad. I was really hoping that was true because that was going to be a lot of laughs here. Let's look at some of the biggest games. We'll start off with Eagles and Cowboys. This is kind of y'all's Super Bowl in a way. Like, you win this, you get a home field for the first game, potentially.
A lot of
if
things
the
have to go
49
right after this game, but yeah. Like
Well, no, I mean if you win this, you win the division probably, and then you do get a home game for the first round of the playoffs.
If we win this game, we have to mess it up not to win the division.
Which we have to go beat the Bills and the Miami Dolphins afterwards.
Okay,
We
so
can
maybe you
beat
don't
the
win the
Bills
division.
pretty dang easy.
It's in Buffalo in December. I don't know if it's going to be 30 inches of snow on that field. I don't know.
Well, hey, let's not look ahead, y'all. Y'all almost did that with the Eagles. All right, let's focus in on this game. What's first off? Can I get a score prediction from all three of us?
Oh, I haven't thought this through too much. I want to go last.
35-21 Cowboys.
I'm gonna go 31-27 Eagles.
I think it's like 17-10 Cowboys. Like I think it's gonna be a lower scoring game. I don't think it's gonna be one of those big scoring games. I don't know. I think our defense steps up again this week. Eagles have a good defense. I think both Dak and Jalen Hurts make mistakes. I don't know. I've thought this through. I think Brock Purdy gets the MVP because both Dak and Jalen Hurts struggle against their respective defenses they're playing against this week. I don't think it's going to be a super high scoring game. Cowboys win by like a score in a low scoring game.
So you're taking the under?
Oh yeah.
I heard the under in primetime games are pretty good this year.
It's insane clip.
What is it for the Cowboys Eagles?
I got it right here. How we do
42.
this? Y'all take a guess. Was that Ryan takes 42?
I'll do 42.5 before I look.
Okay. Zach?
Let's go 52.5.
Okay, Zach looked. Okay.
Dang,
Thanks for
that's
ruining. Yeah, 52.5. I mean, these are two high-powered offenses.
Yeah.
Prime time. This is probably gonna be potentially a play. I can see y'all playing the Eagles 3 times this year. Considering that, I feel like this is really gonna come down to Cowboys, Eagles, Lions, 49ers. This feels like this could be a matchup.
That week 1 bye would be really nice in the playoffs. And just home field advantage. Not having to go to 49ers, and apparently our stats against grass is terrible. I don't know.
So y'all need the turf monster.
I guess so. I didn't know that was a big deal. But wait, what's your thing about the Eagles? Why do you think the Eagles are going to win?
It's kind of like that. I'm not trying to compare them to Alabama, but like when you watch college football and Alabama loses one week, and you just know that next week they're covering the spread no matter who they're playing. It's hard for me to imagine the Eagles losing 2 really must-win games back to back. Plus they've beaten y'all once already. I don't think that Shaq Leonard's. Yeah, we're close. I absolutely think y'all can win this. But I think if I had to put my money where my mouth is, the Cowboys have played a lot of blowout games, and the Eagles have kind of been battle tested in those really close ones. Obviously not this past Sunday; they got their ass handed to them.
Yeah.
But I think about that game against the Bills. Came down to the wire. They won. They made the right plays. I think about the game, y'all's first game. They won 28-25. They were. I know Jake Ferguson was like this close to a touchdown, or Shoemaker, whoever it was. But when you play, I feel like when you have more of those close games, some of it's luck, but some of it's just learning how to play. And Cowboys, I feel like either I see a lose or I see a win by 30. There's not too many in between besides this past Thursday against the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And if you play the Eagles like you played the Seahawks, you're cooked. So they didn't have their best game last week. You didn't have y'all's best game last week. I'm almost washing that away and then predicting who's going to win based off everything besides last week. And I just feel like the Eagles slightly could
It's gonna be a good game.
win this. It's going to be a very good game.
The
Eagles,
line is 3 right now, and we're at home, and they typically give you 3 points at home. So
So it's
dead
saying basically
even
even.
game.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be fun.
the Eagles have kind of gotten screwed on their schedule. Like I think 49ers came off a Thursday night game before, and then the Cowboys are coming off a Thursday night game. So we get like 10 extra days, or I don't know how many extra days, but 10 days rest versus theirs late game.
I
And then
hate hearing
travel.
that. I really doubt they're going to see what games are going to have the best ratings and putting them in the prime time slots. It's unfortunate for the Eagles, but I don't think they're really going after them or trying to
I
screw them
don't
over.
think so either, but that would like if I was the Eagles, I'd be like, are you kidding me? Like 2 times like against like the gauntlet teams. Like that's the only
Yeah.
part.
Okay. Let's go. There's not a lot of great games this
Really
next
not.
week, so let's go over just some predictions. Quick rapid fire. Chiefs Bills.
Chiefs.
Give me Bills.
Let's talk spread, not money line.
Well, this is basically a spread or money line. It's 2.5.
I still have Chiefs.
Give me
I'll take
Bills.
Bills.
Give me Bills. Plus,
Bills coming off a bye.
Chiefs at home.
maybe. Yeah.
true.
Well, with the Chiefs, it's true. That'll also be a revenge game. Stefan's gonna be yelling 4 times on the sideline,
He's
and then
annoying.
Yeah, he's getting a little boring. Let's see. Seahawks, 49ers. 49ers minus 10.5.
Jesus, I think Seattle.
Give me Seattle.
They always get whooped by San Francisco. They always do.
Yeah, they do, but I'm still taking Seattle. 10.5 is a lot.
A lot of points. Oh, I'll take San Fran.
Yeah, I'm taking San Fran on that.
Obviously, America's game of the week, the Chargers versus the Broncos. Chargers minus 3.
I'm excited to watch that because the Broncos defense versus Chargers offense. I'm excited that.
I'm slamming the Broncos money line. That is, we just beat the Patriots 6-0, and they're gonna give us 3 points.
Yeah, I've got Broncos money line on that one
Yeah.
too.
Broncos are probably going to whoop up on us. It's so sad
They
when
have a
Quentin
decent
Johnston.
defense too.
Yeah, well, it's the worst part is when Quentin Johnston has the best game of his career and also the worst drop of his career all in the same game. This Chargers.
What do y'all think about the Texans versus Jets? Texans 5.5.
Give me
I
Texans.
almost like the Jets, depending who they start at quarterback.
I think that's why it's so high. They don't know who is. They just let go of Tim Boyles.
Who's
I
gonna
think it's
start?
gonna
Y'all
be
know.
it's gonna be Zach Wilson.
It's gonna be Zach. Who's their?
Yeah, so give
I
me
kinda like them 5.5.
give me Texans all day.
I'll
Jets
take-
at home though.
I'll take points.
Who gives a shit? If they have fans in the stands, I'll be shocked.
Tickets as low as $19.
Hell,
Yeah,
we could
I
go
don't
to
know.
that
I'll
game.
take the Jets.
Give me Texans all day. Right, Zach?
Yeah, Texans.
Texans.
Ooh, this
Okay.
is a weird spread. One more for me. Okay, Rams versus Ravens. Ravens at home.
That was
They're only
mine.
getting 7.
The Rams have been good lately.
I know. I would like definitely go Ravens, but because I feel like the Rams aren't that good. Like I feel like
think
they
they're
should be getting
giving-
more than 7.
I feel like the
at home.
Ravens are getting a couple points just because they're coming off a bye. They rested, and they see all these teams losing.
And
Well, I'm
have-
saying it should
would-
be minus 10 or minus 11.
Oh, you're thinking okay.
yeah, I'll take the -7 because they also have to travel all the way over there, and it's a 12 o'clock game.
Yeah, I'll take
Ravens.
Ravens as well. Yeah. Well, now that we've gone through, we are going to tell everyone our picks because you got to subscribe to the Dub Club. QR code right there, I think. We're going to switch it over just a little bit, right? Right there. That's what I
It's
meant.
right over here.
Yeah, somewhere around
to the
here.
right. This is
Switch over to a little bit of college football. The playoff committee to determine that's going to be Washington, Michigan, Alabama, Texas. Real quick, do we think Florida got screwed? And who do we think's going to win?
Sucks for Florida, really does. But for like the quality of the product, you got to put Bama in there. I honestly think like you put Georgia in there over. I don't. It's hard to think
Georgia over who?
Bama.
You can't.
You can't. Yeah.
This is the problem with this whole. I'll let you finish, but sorry. Go ahead.
If you want to go down the rant of like who the committee people are, I mean, I saw that picture of those guys. They don't look like they've played football in maybe like 57 years. They look like they're about to drop dead in those chairs. So I don't know. You go on about your rant. I'm picking Texas.
I think at the end of the day, the committee just has some choices to make, whether they put the best team in or like football matters for the first 13 games that you've played. So if you're putting the best teams in, yeah, Georgia is probably better than like Washington. They're probably better than Texas, but you're absolutely screwing teams like Florida State when they go undefeated. They win 13 games, and then you have two teams that lost games that get in. So I don't know. For me, I like the product that they put out for, the college football playoffs that we'll see this year, but it's super confusing for these like college teams to figure out like who's gonna, like, unless you're Georgia, I don't know. It's really confusing to figure out whether the regular season matters or if it's best team, because those are two different questions. Like Florida State's not better than any of the teams that got in, but they went undefeated, and I think it's unfair for a Power 5 school to win every game that they play and then not get in. It's just the committee has to figure out like which direction they want to go.
Okay. Before I go, you want to give your winner?
I think Bama wins it.
Okay. I disagree with both of you. I think the committee got it perfectly right, and I'll give my two reasons. One, for Georgia, Georgia has been criticized since day one that they have a cupcake ass non-conference schedule. They played nobody in the non-conference. I know they were scheduled to play Oklahoma at the beginning of the year. They canceled it because Oklahoma about to join the SEC. Didn't want to get that started. That's fine, but you got to find somebody else to play. They have the same argument with Michigan and Ohio State. They say you either be perfect throughout the whole year and win the conference, or you don't get in because your strength of record or strength of schedule is shit. So that's why I think Georgia's out. Because if you're Alabama, you could then say, well, why did I schedule Texas at all? I could schedule Florida A&M, beat the shit out of them. Then they would have beat Michigan. Then they would have beat Georgia.
At the end of the day, Georgia deserves to be out because they lost their championship game. And that's the most important thing. They lost the game that they had to win.
And then for Florida State, they always like to bring up Cardell Jones. I don't know if y'all remember back in Ohio State when he came in third string. They love to bring out they put them in. Why didn't they put us in? The difference is in their conference game, Cardell Jones and Ohio State won 59-0. He had 300 passing yards, and Florida State had 55 passing yards.
Okay, but
and won by 10 points.
But they hadn't lost a game before. It's not like they had to go blow somebody out to prove something.
Their criteria was, we look at how you play with your backups and how it would affect you going forward. They had 2 games with the backup in. Even with their second string. I know he didn't play the conference championship. Their second string, they barely beat a Florida Gators team.
They're putting a better product up for the playoffs, but it's not fair. They won the game.
But that team is not good. The team's not good enough.
It doesn't matter. They won the game. They beat a Louisville team that's ranked. It's how it works. You go 13-0 and you're ranked.
But their criteria is public knowledge to all the coaches. It says we can take into fact what your backup players play like. But
Georgia should be in. Because they were number 1 going into the week, and you have teams that have lost before, and they just lost to Alabama, who's also in.
One bad week.
They're showing 2 different sides. They're not being consistent.
Look, besides LSU, I think the same thing applies to record-wise, strength of schedule for Florida State. ACC was bad this year. No, SEC wasn't the greatest. They beat LSU at the end of the year. So did Bama. Okay, and Bama had a harder non-conference schedule. Beat the number 1 team. Georgia they beat Missouri is probably their best win. Missouri and Tennessee. Georgia should not be anywhere in this. They were a one-loss team that wasn't a conference champion, and yes, they lost to the number 4 team by 3 points. But that's what you get when you don't play a hard non-conference schedule. For Florida State, you are told at the beginning of the year your injuries will matter. It sucks. Two things can be true: that they got screwed, but they shouldn't be in. Because someone should have gone to Mike Norvell and said, "Hey, listen, how Brock Glenn or Rodmaker plays will affect how we get in." If he had known that, he should have slung the ball around more, even if it cost a few interceptions. Because you should know, winning by 10 points against a Louisville team that just lost to Kentucky is not going to look good enough than beating either Texas when you've been blowing out everyone the rest of the year, you lost your rivalry game, or Alabama when you just beat the number 1 team in the nation and you had a tough schedule. Like we just said, if Alabama doesn't schedule Texas and they just do a regular non-conference game, no one would be complaining about Alabama being in. So they'd be 13-0 and a conference champion.
The good thing is next
Right?
year, this is all fixed. But
Yeah.
like this year, this is super crappy because if we were to have if the 4-team playoff kept going on and you kept telling teams that if you're in a Power 5 conference and you win every game that you have on your schedule and you still don't have a chance to make it in, that's complete BS. That's insane.
It's going to be funny when we're arguing about the 12th place teams and why 13 should be in 12.
I don't think we'll argue as much, though, about this. I will say, I think the college football playoff is probably kind of happy they did this because now, like, there have been all those people who've been bitching all year about the 12-team playoff won't be
Now
nice.
it's like,
They'll be
thank
well,
God. Yeah.
yeah, hey, you know what? You can't cry about it no more. We'll get everyone in. All right, before.
Who's your pick?
Huh?
Your pick.
Oh, Bama. They're the
Bama.
hottest team, and I trust Nick Saban.
I don't want to.
Before we go,
Michigan team. You guys big
No.
Wolverines?
No,
No.
not big Wolverine guys.
Smoked.
Before we go, last thing, we haven't got to talk about NBA. The NBA in-season tournament just started. Looks fantastic. I'm picking the T-Wolves. Zach, you have the Pacers, who just knocked off the Celtics. And Ryan, you have the Nuggets.
Are you picking?
We still want to rock. I got T-Wolves.
They're
Timberwolves.
They're in it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like the number 1 seed in the West.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they're in the in-season tournament.
No, I'm pretty sure they're the number 1 season in the West side of the in-season tournament. Hold on, now you're making me question myself.
I have no idea.
Because tonight's games, it's only.
Oh, snap. I did pick the T-Wolves. They're not in it. All right, I'm going to rock with the Pelicans. Oops. My
Nice.
bad.
I don't think the Nugs are in it either, Maynard. So I'll pick the Celtics. I'm pretty sure they're in it.
They just lost.
Ah, shit.
All right,
Well, no.
here, I'll tell you who you can pick. You got New Orleans, Lakers, Suns, Bucks, Knicks, and that's it.
This is
Or
not
Pacers.
betting advice. I'm taking the Knicks.
Pacers.
It's all vibes.
It's all vibes.
All right, well, we'll come back at some point to kind of review the in-season tournament, how I feel about it. But until then, we're going to have a good week 14. Zach's going to laugh for some reason. You guys are being weird. Until next time, love you boys.
They're winning the in-season tournament. I think they're in it.
I think we got eliminated quick.
Yeah. Hey, since
Bye,
we
buddy.
got Bye, boys.